My guest today is an energy, water and utilities expert with 20 years of North American, European and GCC management consulting experience, OEM, new business setup and stakeholder management within the conventional and renewable energy sector, demand side management and energy efficiency. In his nearly 2 decades, you're not that old, but 2 decades of experience, Aref assumed key executive management and senior advisory roles with the public and private sectors at General Electric, Ernst & Young, A.T. Kearney, ITT, and General Secretariat of Executive Council of Abu Dhabi, and he is the founder of Takati, Dubai Energy Efficiency Program. It's all about energy, it's all about ecosystem, it's all about thinking about our future. Hello, Aref.
Hi Ivan, how are you?
I learned that by heart, yeah. So nice having you here today. So Aref, you are in energy, water and utilities, and you try to preserve our nice globe or ecosystem. So what do you actually do? What is your business?
So actually I am more onto the energy efficiency business right now and solar projects development. Basically renewable energy and energy efficiency. When I started my career 21 years ago, I was in pure conventional energies, working with General Electric on steam and gas turbines, power plants that drive our cities, that puts electricity into our homes. But then as time went by, I started getting more and more involved into the alternative energy part of the sector. And then later on, I started getting more involved in the energy efficiency. And basically, Takati was probably my second role in the energy efficiency business. My first role was in the smart grid and smart cities work with Ernst & Young, when I was driving the agenda here in the Middle East. But then Dubai was trying to implement the demand side management strategy or the energy efficiency strategy of Dubai that we helped work on back in 2011. Then I got involved with the guys of the Supreme Council of Energy here in Dubai and DIWA. DIWA was one of my clients. And they told me about the fact that they want to set up a PMO, Program Management Office, to drive the energy efficiency strategy in Dubai.
Yeah, just Program Management Office, what does it actually mean?
So basically, every strategy will die, no matter how good it is, if there isn't a dedicated entity that can support the execution and implementation of that strategy, that can monitor the key performance indicators, that can monitor and update the strategic objectives, can help the different owners of the strategy in devising their operation plans and executing on those operation plans.
And what is the strategy of Dubai?
So
this program was?
It's all about saving power and water 30% by 2030 versus business as usual. And if we want to explain the business as usual, it's a bit of a fluffy term, but basically there was a comparison on a yearly basis to see how much our consumption in Dubai would have grown had we not done anything. And the difference between where we are and where we could have been if we didn't do anything, this is called savings. And then basically that business as usual is our baseline. And then if anybody works in the energy management field, they understand that baseline is everything in calculating energy efficiencies. And most of the times it's a virtual number. It's not something that we can measure. Most of the time we cannot measure it. A lot of times we can.
But what do you think that, as you have, of course, global knowledge and you know how the things in this industry, how do you find Dubai with this strategy of 2030 and 2050? And how do you find what's going on in Dubai today and what will go on in Dubai later?
Look, Dubai, when we started with the discussions about an integrated energy strategy for Dubai and then demand side management strategy, that was back in 2011 with the Dubai integrated energy strategy, and 2013 with the demand side management strategy.
6 to 8 years ago.
So, and then we started doing the work in 2015. And I think Dubai was the pioneer in this. They actually took a very wild jump, leap of faith, let's put it that way, to bet the economy of the energy sector on energy efficiency. If you look right now, what's really driving the energy sector, it's all about cost cutting. Dubai started with something they started with something good for the good reasons. The good reasons was preserving the environment, preserving our natural resources, energy security. But then they also started this for another good reason, creating green economy. The green economy that everybody knows about is all about solar, renewable energy, wind. Well, it's not just about that. Energy efficiency is the hidden soldier. Nobody knows about energy efficiency. Nobody sees it. It's the soldier, it's the commando that is doing all the work in the background. If you go into the assessment of sustainable strategies, you will know that 70% of your sustainable strategy has to be around energy efficiency and 30% about retrofit, about solar. And the reason they say that, Ivan, let me explain that further, is because if you think about solar or wind, it's energy that you're going to consume. So whether you are consuming that much or that much, if I give you wind or solar and you're here, you're going to consume it. You have a big tank, you need to fill it up. What do you fill it up with? Doesn't really matter. So basically, renewable energy is nothing but a power generation offset of conventional energy. We're just offsetting what we absorb and what we eat from conventional energy. Energy efficiency, on the other hand, it tells you, let's make this tank smaller. Let's make your car drive much, much longer distance for the same tank. Let's make your electric vehicles drive for 320 miles, not 20 miles, 8 years ago. That's what energy efficiency is. Energy efficiency is
lowering down the needs for that.
Basically making more with less. That's efficiency is all about energy in divided by energy out divided by energy in. That's what energy efficiency is. So basically, the higher the energy out, the more the efficiency is. And that's why, ideally, if you've got an asset, like the kind of work that we do, we work with asset owners, big asset, commercial, industrial, hotels, warehouses, schools, hospitals.
When you say you, it's not, it's the...
No, forget about Taqati right now. We're probably going to talk about the next next part of my life.
No, but it's, which is ARC.
So maybe we should transition to that.
Yes.
ARC Energy is my new baby, my new passion. I started ARC Energy a year and a half ago while I was still in Taqati as an idea. And then I started flirting around with this idea to see really, does it have a place in this world? And I found this amazing niche that requires a lot of expertise, whether it is on the financial aspect of projects, technical, legal, stakeholders, networking, project management, management consulting. It's really, when you look at the kind of niche that I found that niche, let's call it a blue ocean, is what it takes to infiltrate a market for the private sector who wants to save on the electricity bill and water bill. And I came in with this idea back in Taqati because I found that the private sector was drastically underserved. And when I say underserved, not just in terms of quantity, in terms of quality. And I found that these guys, while the industry has proven its value in terms of solar in energy savings and building retrofits and the energy efficiency, also in energy savings.
Private sector?
On the private sector end, they saw it. It is happening. It's proven. Why aren't they jumping into it? These guys need the money, especially at the time right now, Ivan, that all commercial sector is going towards increasing their net operating income, not by increasing the revenue, by protecting their existing revenue. Just protect their existing clients. How? Reduce your costs. So basically, you have the revenue here, you have your cost here. What you want to do, keep that revenue here and reduce your costs. That way, you increase your net operating income. Now, this looks good because the costs are here. Actually, the costs are here, and they're just going to go down. Now, what I found out is that the operational expenses of many of the hotels, hospitals, schools, factories, multi-use buildings, retail buildings, malls, out of the total operational expenses to keep this alive and breathing, around 15 to 30% goes to electricity, water, district cooling, which is what we have, or district heating, what they have in Europe, or a combination of the two, and diesel and gas for boilers, steam generation. Those are the 30% of your expenses. Well, guess what? Everything else is 70%, overhead, whatever you could imagine
Cost,
in there, branding, marketing.
Direct costs,
How much can you play with this? Well, I can tell you something. Those 30%, we can cut down between 20 and 50% of those.
20 to 50%.
Yes. So if you translate that, imagine you have 30% of your OPEX. That 30% of your OPEX is actually, we cut it down by 50%. That's 15% going up to your top line. Going up. Take it home.
So basically any hotel, any multi-purpose building or something can, but do people do this here in Dubai?
Well, Dubai started with that because guess what? Whenever you want to make a decision on cost cutting, it's all about money.
Yes.
And basically, Dubai has given us a reason by increasing our tariffs. So we have a business case. We have relatively high tariffs within the GCC, the Gulf countries. We're not the highest in the Middle East. Dubai is still competitive compared to the rest of the Middle East, but it's got a high tariff. That high tariff rate, which is for the commercial sector, we're talking in the range of 13 cents at the highest bracket. Well, that's the bracket that we go after. 13 cents, US cents per kilowatt hour, is actually perfect to make the business case. Not only for us to come in and help the client who might want to pay for it, but also bring in an investor who would like to invest in it. So what we did, we developed a framework around this.
That's pretty crucial. I know that you're in it and you're talking and from the very professional way, but we want to get to people to understand us. And this framework, I would like you to explain really how, because when I found out about this, I was like, no, that's perpetuum mobile,
right.
of the ecology or sustainability.
I will talk about the framework, and I will start with Dubai. Well, here's the thing: before you make any kind of decision as a businessman, you always look at the business case.
Of course,
it's a cost-benefit analysis.
Know your numbers.
Okay? And then, especially if you have different projects that you have to run, and you have this much money, but this is how much all the project will cost, and you have 3 projects, you have to make a decision: which ones do you go for? And it's always a financial decision, net present value, interest rate of return, payback time, whatever you might. Financial terms, basically you look at the financials.
Of course.
But first and foremost. And then once the financials check out, then you tell your team, okay, let's talk technical now. Will it work? Does it make sense? Can we exit? All of that. So our approach to the market, especially the private sector, the way I thought about it, is over the years when I was working in Taqati, I worked in Taqati for 4.5 years, from the day I established it to the day I left. While working there, I noticed that we're going to the government and we're telling the government, you know what, just do the retrofit, do the solar installations, we'll bring the money from another government entity, and you will pay back the government entity in installments. The government entity is national bonds. It's one of our financial institutions, but it's still within the government. And then we create the mechanism where the client will actually pay back to the bank, the financial institution, through the utility. So the utility would collect the money, send that money to a company in the middle, and the company in the middle.
Can you give us a real life example of it?
Basically, let's assume, well, I can't really name government entities over here, but let's assume that government entity, let's call it the Department of Sports. All right, that doesn't exist, but let's call it Department of Sports. The Department of Sports was approached by an energy services company that belongs to the government. Let's call it Government ESCO.
ESCO.
And this Government ESCO went to them and said, look, you have a directive from the government that obliges you to cut down electricity consumption. it obliges you to review your consumption and cut it down.
Yeah.
No specifications, and I think there is a potential over here for some business case that can help you save money, and a lot of money on your electricity bill and your water bill if you care. And the way it's going to work, basically, you sign here with us. We'll come in. We'll bring people underneath that, other
Experts,
smaller
yeah.
ESCOs, contractors, and these guys will come in and do the work. Now, this work will cost money. We'll bring the money, but we'll bring the money from the government,
Of course.
because you're government and you have guarantees. The government guarantees you.
Yeah.
And it's from one pocket to the next. So we'll bring money from the government and put it into this project. Now, this money has to be paid back to the financial institution, which is a bank, government bank, right? So the way you pay it back, you don't pay it back to the financial institution, because this financial institution doesn't have the mechanism
Yeah.
to collect installments from you and cannot secure your payment back. They need to secure their payment.
Yeah.
What do? That government ESCO agrees with the utility, the government utility,
Okay.
to say, look, Mr. Utility, every month you're charging the Department of Sports electricity bill. What you're going to do now, the electricity bill will drop a little bit. What you will do, you'll add on top of it the installment. And you charge, and you collect that from this guy, from his bill, and you pay it back to the national bonds.
So
That way,
saving money, returning, and
So
then
they're saving money.
At the end of the cycle, we have a much more energy efficient entity,
and the money is back.
and the money is back.
Right. So it's basically,
I see this as a perpetuum mobile.
we created a cycle
Yeah.
where the money flows within the same system and is guaranteed by the same people, so it doesn't go out.
And how it is with the private sector?
Now, the private
You
sector
have
is where I found.
Step forward.
This is where I found the.
Yeah, this is-
This is where I found the niche. So I looked at that, and I looked at the government sector going after government, simply because there's, if you want to invest as an investor, you're not a business owner, you're an investor now. You're an investor.
Yeah.
Before you invest, what's the first thing you look for? What Warren Buffett says:
Yes.
measure your risk, and then measure your returns. First, you measure your risk. So, what's the risk for an investor? It's the security of his revenue, cash
Return.
flow.
Yeah.
Security of his revenue, cash flow. They're in this world. Once you show me that you can secure my revenue, cash flow, my money back
Yeah.
that I invested, along with the return with it, so the money plus the return, if you secure that to me, automatically you become more secure. Hence, your risk factor drops. Hence, the required return that I want from you drops because
It's
you're
lower risk.
an amazing client.
Yeah.
It's like treasury bonds in the United
Yeah.
States.
Yeah.
2, 3%, 4%, 1%. Why? Because it's the US government. They will
Blue
never
chip.
default.
Blue chip.
They will never default. But on the other hand, if you're going to go to Thailand or,
Yeah.
whichever country without naming,
We-
your country,
yeah.
the treasury bonds are 15% because the government might go into a default anytime. So having said that, it's a risk-adjusted return. It's all about risk-adjusted return. The government is a risk-free client. They might not pay on time, but they definitely pay,
Yeah.
right? And if it's a government within a government, there are the payments, there are open accounts between them. Always flowing.
Papers.
It's papers.
Yeah.
You don't see the money.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's just
saying.
papers, numbers.
Yeah.
The private sector on the other hand is different. Who can guarantee a private sector? And in the situation that we have right now in the Middle East, we don't have credit bureaus except in the UAE right now. They started the AECB, the Arab Emirate Credit Bureau. That's the only place where we can know if you are good in paying or you're bad in paying. It's like getting a credit card.
It's still starting. I know.
It's like getting a credit card. And we just started 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
2.5 years ago. We don't have enough information, so we go out to the international market to have people do a research on a private sector to see if this company has been paying us on time to its employees.
That's a new thing now. This bureau is a new thing. So before it was not there. Yeah.
Yeah, it did not exist. So basically working with the private sector was quite hard because basically it's a black box. You cannot see their financials unless they share it with you. And then the financials do not clearly show if they have been a good payer or a good lender.
Solvent.
So it can tell us that they have cash, but
Yeah.
are they going to be paying or not? We don't know. And usually all of this is about trends. That's what credit reports are. So what we found out is that while this energy efficiency and solar business have shown tangible results in Dubai because of the tariff rates, because of the business case in there, have shown interest from the government sector, the private sector is so slow in adopting it, even though these are the guys that wanted it.
And what is the main reason you think that?
Well, we did
Is it awareness?
We did an investigation, actually.
Yeah.
We did a market research. We spoke to 1,900 respondents. We spoke to all the government entities. We spoke to over 450 businesses and around 1,500 individual people. And we did this with YouGov as a marketing research firm, and Navigant at that point supported us. We were working on something at Taqati. That was end of 2017. And basically we understood that there are three key reasons why people, private sector mainly, are not jumping into this. The commercial industrial sector not jumping into this. First is about awareness and confidence in the sector, in the energy efficiency and solar, in the renewable sector. They just simply either don't know about it or they just don't believe it.
Yeah.
They don't believe that this thing can actually achieve savings that are sustainable, regardless of the money. Money aside, right now.
Yeah.
Second thing is having bandwidth of internal resources to be able to deal with all of these contractors, solar vendors, energy services companies, ESCOs that kind of come over and do the work.
Lack of experts.
Lack of in-house resources, even just available.
In-house resources.
In-house resources.
So you've got business owner.
You've got the client and you've got the ESCOs and
yeah.
vendors. And the final one is lack of, even if they have resources, they're just, well, actually, lack of resources that know this topic. And even if they have resources that know these topics internally, they simply don't have time. It's not their job. If you're going to a manufacturing facility, whom do you think understands solar and energy efficiency? Energy efficiency, we're talking about replacing equipment. When we talk about energy efficiency, just to make it very, very clear, it's about replacing the equipment that consumes the most electricity and water within your building with equipment that consume way less, while maintaining the performance of your building, the operations of your building, warehouse, factory, school, whatever it is. And usually we target the HVAC system, lighting, the building envelope, the building management system, more or less. And then on the water side, we target the irrigation, the
isolation.
Basically irrigation system, the taps. But we also target in hotels, for example, the boilers. In buildings, we target the pumps. And you know, it's not just about HVAC system. It's about the HVAC system is about the chillers and the pumps, and so there's a whole whack of things that we target. So just to make it very, very clear on the retrofit. So whom do you think on the other side understands it? And if he does, this guy is basically either very senior, he doesn't feel like doing this work anymore, it's not his job, or he's not that senior, he's a facilities manager, but he's the smartest facilities manager in the facility, and he's over his head with the work. Do you think? And then that's where the capacity issue comes in. And not only that, when you're engaging an ESCO or a solar vendor into a project where they have to install equipment on top of your roof or inside your facility, expect to spend anywhere between 200 and 300 man days.
Who has that?
200, 300 man days over a span of 9 months to 12 months. At the very beginning of the project, you're talking to so many companies, you're trying to get different proposals, and then you're trying to assess them, you're inviting them to come over and walk around and do site visits and respond to their questions. Then there's a long, lengthy process. So we found that the market as it stands
There is a blue ocean of.
There's a blue ocean of somebody to come in and say, guys, come in, we'll do the work on your behalf. You sit, take your espresso, have your whiskey, have your shisha in this town, right? And then we'll deal with this. We know the topic, we speak the same language, we can deal with all the legal, commercial, technical, operational, stakeholder buy-in even. We'll go in on your behalf and convince your leadership.
You become the part of their team, actually.
We are called the owner's consultant.
Owner's consultant.
Right? And we come in, and then not only this, sometimes the client doesn't have the budget, private sector. We've established a framework where we bring in investors to put the money in.
That's the magic. Even better than the.
To put the money in, and then what will happen, there will be a sharing in the savings between the client, the guy that owns the facility, and the investor. The investor takes most of it if they're investing all the money.
Of course.
But what we did as well, we allowed a way that the investor and the client can co-invest. They share, it becomes an investment. Or the client, if he has money from this project, from other projects, we can work with them to convince them that this money should be coming here because it has the highest NPV, highest interest rate return, the lowest payback time, the safest
What is the interest
returns.
rate of return? It can be 10 or.
If you are investing your money onto a typical retrofit project, 40 to 50%.
40 to 50%.
Yeah. On the solar project is around 25%.
But to make.
But you know why? Yeah. Remember, again, it's about energy efficiency, energy savings.
Of course.
So if your tariff rates are high, and I'm saving you 30%, so your returns are high.
Yeah.
So the higher tariff rate, the better it is. So in Europe, and in places
what are
like,
the global trends, Europe or?
The United States has been doing this for 18 years, Germany for like almost the same, Canada, Australia, France. All these old Western countries have been doing this for years and years. Right now, the Middle East is picking up, and really Dubai made the first move. And I'm very proud to say that in Taqati, we did so much work, and I'm very proud of that team over there. They did so much work to bring this attention to the market. Now I'm talking to the private sector only. I get calls from the public sector. I don't want to work in Dubai within the public sector because I know that the private sector needs us and we don't have bandwidth. Serious. I mean, we started, Arc Energy started what? October 2018. Right,
so
right after the site
6 months ago, yeah.
Officially. I mean, I was working on it, setting it up before, but the official launch was October 2018. We opened the bank account in January.
This year. I'm just saying that because this vlog, maybe someone will see it in a year or two.
We're barely, 2019. We're barely keeping up with the amount of requests coming to us, and we have a very structured approach for solar project development and for building retrofits project development. And not only this, every client to us comes in, as I told you, Ivan, you have to manage the risk before the return. The clients come to me, it's like, you know what? Actually, we have another saying in Lebanese. Yeah. We say...
In original, please.
From where I come from originally.
No, but original...
in Lebanese, they say... no, I can't say it. I'm going to say it in English. I'm going to say it in English.
No, you can say Lebanese and then translate it.
اتفقوا الحرامية على السرقة بس اختلفوا على تقسيم المصاري. Basically, the thieves agreed on the robbery, on the heist. But when it came to splitting the money, they disagreed. So, and seriously, and that's why at the very beginning they invested, and I'm not saying they are thieves, but I'm saying it's an analogy.
It's a saying.
The thieves agreed on the heist, and when it came to they start shooting at each other. And that's where the problem happens. The investor, the developer and investor comes in with his ESCO to work with an asset owner, with a client. And then we manage this, we orchestrate that to make sure that these guys are married. We don't bring just one.
Yeah.
Our game plan, our framework is to bring in 3 or 4 and then bring them in to give us the best proposal that makes most sense to my clients. And then we recommend to the client whom they should go with. We're an owner's consultant.
Yeah.
And the client decides. We don't. We are technology, we're technology and vendor agnostic. We go back, we do it very systematic. We have specific things we look at, specific scoring, financial energy modeling, technical discussions. Once we close all the loop, we go to the client with finalized scorecards and presentations to explain to them every bit of the way what happened, of course, in layman terms. Because that's why they don't understand these technical terms. We go layman terms.
Talking about the terms, let's say this framework. So are you suggesting that investors and ESCOs are coming together, or you can bring from different sides, ESCO, investor?
There are three options. Either the client decides to go and pay for it, at which time we bring in just the contractors on the ground. There's another option where the client says, no, bring me the money, I don't have the money. At that point, I have two options. I either bring in the investor ESCO as a consortium, where they actually, every ESCO, the good ESCOs in the region now, each one of them has an investor that has vested interest in them,
of course.
and they're supporting them. And so these guys on the bottom, the ESCO, and then the investor on top. The investor, what does he care about? Making money.
Of course.
So he has money, so they want to deploy the money as fast as possible. That's how they make money.
For sure.
Time value for money. The ESCO on the bottom funnels the money. They are the ones that funnel the money and do the work.
Sure.
So there's a stake, there's a vested stake between each other. There's a relationship, right? And they have something we call arm's length relationship between each other. And we have a couple of those. Then there's a third option of saying, look, guys, you know what? I want to get the investor. I could get one or two investors, and we'll bring in the ESCOs. And say, ESCOs, you submit your, I say one investor. So you submit your proposals, and then we will work very closely and arm's length with the investor to make sure they are convinced with your proposal. And then we'll convince the client too. This is a bit more complex, but where does it serve? If the client has an investor which is a sister company.
So all the possibilities.
It's a holding company on top that has an operating company here that does services, a factory, schools, and then investment arm. These guys want to put money here.
Of course.
But they don't know how to deal with these guys. So what they do, we come in the middle, covering the whole group, and say, don't worry. You will put solar in there, you will fix your retrofit, and you will take your money, and then we'll invest it.
Are there companies like ARC in the...
ARC Energy.
ARC Energy, sorry.
Let's call it in the right
That's
name.
branding, So ARC Energy, are there companies like ARC Energy in the wide world, like globally? Are there
very few, because this is a brand new business, and I hope they see it 2 years from now, so that they don't see it.
What do you think it will happen in 2 years from now?
Look,
let's do this. 2 years from now, this will happen, and then we don't play this part of the vlog, and we post it in 2 years.
From now.
Let's do this. This part of the vlog. So next 2 minutes, what will happen in 2 years?
So in terms, I think
2 minutes for 2 years.
I believe in 2 years we're gonna see much more electric vehicles on the ground, which means more electric charging stations, EV stations. Data analytics will be the most precious thing ever. And with data, we can design better systems. We can make our buildings more efficient, and who owns the data can come in with a better proposal to the client. I think there will be more comfort towards solar and towards energy efficiency across the Middle East, not just Dubai. Today, Dubai. I believe that the tariff rates will be higher than they are right now across the region, maybe excluding Dubai because Dubai is already there. Everybody else will be catching up. It will give a much better business case for investors, ESCOs, solar vendors, solar developers alike. People like us will be on a much higher demand simply because more and more companies would be looking at cost cutting. The market is not getting better, the market is getting tougher. So they want to cut costs more. And that specialized skill set is not readily available, and I'm suffering from that already in hiring. So I can tell you that more and more demand will be on our business. Cost cutting will be the name of the game. Being also, of course, green and sustainable will be the name of the game. Environmentally friendly, counting your carbon footprints. So these are the things that will be moving companies from a social corporate responsibility as well as from a financial performance.
Yeah, that's it. For sure, in the past years, industry, construction, all kind of businesses evolved. But when you are evolving, you're not just thinking. Let's say the food industry. Like everything is cheaper now and more. You see how big I am now. This is because the food is very cheap. And everybody can, most of the people can afford it, and this is why then you say, okay, I have to think about fitness, I have to think about health. That's one thing. But what about the industry? What about the other industries?
They need to cut fat. And we always hope, of course, cutting fat is going to be across the board, overhead, capacity, but then instead of a warehouse a factory having to do that, having to cut down on his overhead or capacity, because you never know, maybe the market picks up again, what do you do then? They can look at cutting down on their OPEX, getting themselves back to black on the financial statements. But you know what? Another thing that I think we're going to see more of is the plug and play solutions for energy efficiency. Right now, energy efficiency in building retrofits is complex science. Solar is stupid easy. But energy efficiency in building retrofits is very complex. And the clients I'm dealing with right now, the amount of work that needs to be done to create savings is 3 times as much as that of solar. Solar, you do the design, and then it's man-intensive just to install. So you see, if you look at the cost of the project, it's very high on engineering. Engineering is that much.
There are no solutions. There are ready-made solutions.
And then people come here, and then the equipment here. But if you look at the solar, engineering is that much. Of the project value. So engineering within a retrofit is 20% of the project
we
value.
have to.
In solar, 6%. Now, you know why? Because there's much more technical know-how. There's much more specialization. So what we need to do is to start cutting that chase. Now I'm going to say this.
I know.
We need to cut down that chase. We need to reduce the amount of engineering effort, because with AI and data and all of this knowledge that we have built, we can start building black box.
R&D.
Yeah, black boxes are being built right now.
Plug towards R&D.
Literally plug and play. Now, what I want to do as well as part of our work, and you'll see that in 2 years, we will be a leader in measurement and verification audits. Because as I mentioned, you need to measure your risk. Every client is asking me, all of this is so nice, every equipment is installed, now the savings happen. How can we make sure as clients that these guys are not ripping us off, the ESCO? How can we make sure? They're signing with us an 8-year, 7-year agreement of split.
You mentioned before there was no credit bureau before.
Now there is.
Now there is. So for sure,
for us,
it will happen.
Third-party M&V audit is the name of the game for me, for my business. We will be there. We already built a very strong use cases. Our team is small but is very focused. I'm planning to grow this. I think this will be our bread and butter in the next 2 years. It will become something that every client would say, please come, please be with us, sign up for the next 7 years, audit our measurement and verification reports, audit our M&V plans,
ESCO,
review the reports that come to us, and sit between us and the ESCO. And then the ESCO will tell us, please come, sign on this contract, sit between us and the client. We don't want legal disputes. Nobody benefits if you go to court. Because the minute you go to court, you stop paying for the ESCO. You don't have to pay them. Why should you pay them for the savings? The ESCO loses. But at the same time, what they do, they shut down their equipment. So
everybody loses.
Everybody loses.
So what would be your suggestion? We touched the future a little bit. One part of the vlog we will say for 2 years from now. We will schedule our post in 2 years.
Yes, this is the secret part.
See, this is the secret part, and we'll see how visionary. But I'm sure that let's say I'm the private business owner or building owner. Let's say in Dubai. And I'm thinking of I'm thinking of where I can cut cost cut, but also I'm thinking about going towards renewable energies, energy efficiency. I want to save money. I want to be. So, what is my first step to do it? I call how
You pick up the phone,
okay,
and you call me, or you
055.
or you just send an email to info@arcenergy with a K.AE.
What will happen then?
Okay,
I'm sending a mail. Arc Energy. What should I do?
The first thing, we plug you into our process. We have a very structured approach.
Let's see the journey.
There is a very structured approach, and there is a very simple journey for the customer. You pick up the phone, you call, and you say, "Look, I've got this building. I think I've been consuming a lot, right?
And
what should I do?"
And I know that you're working now with some of the biggest buildings in Dubai.
Yeah, we're working with one of the most iconic buildings in Dubai, and we're working with on retrofit. We're working with the largest food manufacturing plant in the UAE for solar. We're working with the largest car service center in the Middle East. So, and I always say the largest because it's so exciting and challenging, but exciting. And I never imagined that on our first year we'll be able to work with these people, to be honest, to listen.
Knowing you, I knew it will be like that. But let's go back to the journey.
So the journey.
I type the mail,
the phone, send an email, say, "Look,
please help.
I think I have an issue with my utility bill. We're over consuming. It's been like that for a couple of years. We need help. Would you be able to look into this?" Obviously, we come in and we meet the client, because we want to build some rapport to make them feel comfortable. And then we ask them for specific information related to their consumption and to their building, very simple information. And then we do a preliminary energy assessment. The preliminary energy assessment allows us to do benchmarking. It's a benchmarking test. It's like your body mass index.
Oh my God. Don't go there. Don't go there. Okay, like body mass index for my building.
It's pretty much like your body mass index. We call it energy use index.
Okay.
And we do something called energy use index and energy cost index. And we compare that to a benchmark of thousands of buildings that we collected over the years here in Dubai and in the region. And when we compare that against our database, we see where you are sitting in there. If you're in the red zone, on the top 20 percentile, or if you're in the green zone, the bottom. Maybe
they don't need, or it's not efficient.
If your EUI, the smaller the EUI is, the better is your consumption, the higher is your performance. So if you're on the top, we come back to you and say, "Mr. Client, buildings like yourselves, which is a commercial, mainly office with very minor F&B, is a building that should be sitting at this EUI with your peers.
Yeah.
However, you are sitting there, and we think that we can put you here. That means we can save you around 36%. The questions that we ask are trivial without going into the secret sauce, and it's not nothing secret, but without going into the technical details. Once we go back to them and say, "Mr. Client, we believe that there is a business case. What would you like to do next, Mr. Client? Would you like us to come in and do the work for you, get you the right people that can do the ESCO work, get you the right people to do the solar work, and we will act as your owner's consultant to drive the whole process. And we can even bring you the money, or would you like to bring in your own money and do the work, or would you like to do nothing and you don't care?" Most of the time the clients will say, "No, we'd like to move forward." I say, "Great, we sign a consulting agreement and we do something called walk-through audit." The walk-through audit is our way to identify what are the key energy efficiency measures or actions that can be taken to fix your building to make it much more energy efficient, right? And it could be anything. I mentioned a few earlier. It could be anything, right? Now, we do this walkthrough audit. That helps us develop a detailed scope of work, and then we invite ESCOs from the market to come in and submit a proposal. We provide them with our energy audit, and we allow them to come to the building to do the work themselves. The fact that they have our walkthrough energy audit, it will save them at least 70-80% of their time. Come in quick, they have the report, they don't need to do a report themselves. The client is already sold in. Okay, they submit their proposals, we do the review, technical commercial assessment, we even review their legal contracts. Before we go to the client, we provide a recommendation. Client decides where they want to go. Then the next step is two options. Either we tell the ESCO, go ahead and do an investment grade audit now, and then the client will pay you for it, or we're going to sign with you an energy performance contract right now. I will get back to the performance contract. Let's assume that the client decides to go with a detailed audit, which is level 3. So
Yeah.
we start with zero.
Simple questions.
We start with 0,
Yeah.
then level 1, then we jump to level
Yeah.
3. No
Yeah.
need for level 2, and I'll tell you later why. The detailed audit, the client will go in, the ESCO will go in and will identify exactly to an accuracy level of 99.99% what the savings will be, how much the cost will be, how much time it will take, equipment that needs to be introduced, every single thing. They can even come up with method statements and plans and all of that stuff. High level detail engineering, but very deep audits.
Yeah.
And then it comes to us, we have a discussion with the ESCO, we basically vet out things that do not make sense, we review their calculations on the energy models, and then everything is set in stone. We go to the client and say, your project, we started saying that you can save 2 million dirhams a year, $500,000, $600,000 a year. We think you can save $800,000 a year, and we are 100% sure.
800. You're not talking just like that.
No.
Those are the ranges.
We can save you not 30%, Mr. Cloud. We can actually save you 42%, 38%, not 30. Would you like to proceed with this, Mr. Client? Yes. We ask the client, would you like to guarantee those savings to make sure
Yeah.
that if these guys, the ESCO, even though they did all the audits and we reviewed and we've done all the checks and balances, for godly reason, everybody is wrong, and the savings are not attained on year 1, year 2, year 3
Yeah.
for the term of the contract. Would you like to guarantee your savings? The client says yes, he pays an insurance bond. He gets that insurance bond from very specialized banks, and those specialized banks, the minute they know that we are on site, as Arc Energy, as a specialized consultant, they are willing to extend a bond which is not too expensive. An insurance bond,
Bonds.
which is not too expensive. The insurance bond.
Are those carbon footprint banks? Or
No,
no, it's
no.
a regular bank.
Regular banks.
Ah.
So these guys know that there's somebody on site that knows their stuff, and the fact that we did our analysis, the chance that this savings will not be attained is very, very minimal, and hence the cost of that insurance bond, call it insurance guarantee,
Yeah.
drops. And it's a saving to the client as well. And then they go into the project, they do the detailed engineering design work, we review it, then they go for the procurement, buying the equipment, we review the tenders, we review the shop drawings, and then they go into the construction, we're on site, then we have them in the pre-commissioning, doing all the
How
tests.
long is the process? If I am the client,
the minute you call me,
yeah,
the minute you call me,
to the
the minute you call me, you will get a meeting in the next 2 days.
yeah,
We create time,
Yeah.
because usually we meet our clients in the evenings.
yeah,
Everybody is busy.
Yeah.
So everybody meets everybody in the evening. The client is not in
Yeah.
the building during the day. 2 days up to 1 week, we definitely make a meeting.
okay,
And once they provide us with the data, they will start seeing progress immediately, within the same day. You provide me with the data,
we have a microphone.
you provide me with the data, you start getting the response.
Yeah.
Very simple. You start getting response, start seeing progress. And from there on, it takes around
Construction,
9 months to 12
retrofit,
months. 9 to 12 months.
9 to 12 months.
9 months. From the minute we
So-
do the walkthrough to the minute that they turn on the building again. The construction takes 3.5 months. The audit
Yeah.
takes 2 months. Procurement takes a month.
But you're working in segments. It's the building is operational.
Of course.
Oh yeah, of course.
The building does not feel that anything is happening. The outages will be done at times that the building is not busy,
Yeah.
and there is always redundancy in the system. You know, it's not like the building has one chiller or has one.
Of course.
Those buildings we don't work on.
Yeah.
They don't make sense. They're too small.
Yeah. So 9 to 12 months, and then, as you said, turnkey option and everything.
We do the commissioning, and then once commissioning is done, we stay on site, we install our equipment, and we have our digital platform that gathers information from the building management system into our gateway and into the cloud.
Data. Yeah.
Into our database.
Yeah.
We always say the cloud.
Yeah.
It's not the cloud. Into our database, and we keep on monitoring the building and reporting if there are any errors. The ESCO is monitoring the building, but we are the eyes and ears of the clients.
As I see, one old ecological saying says, what is the best time to plant a tree? It was 30 years ago. And what is the next best time? It's today. So I see for the business owners and for building owners and for private stakeholders, the best time to do think about sustainability and energy efficiency was 20 or 30 years ago. If not then today.
Well, change has started back in mid-90s. But in the Middle East, change started probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
And
then now we're getting the big wave. It started by a talk, and now we're starting to get the waves. The ecosystem is responding. The financiers, service providers, engineering, technical consultants, management consultants, clients, banks, asset owners, firms, government, regulators, policymakers. The ecosystem is moving, and it's not stopping anymore.
Everything starts with the change. And I hope that this vlog, which name is The Change, will bring change to your business, but most of all to Dubai region and the world with some innovative ideas. I see there your affection towards research and development, data collection and analysis, and bringing some ready-made solutions to your sector.
Yeah, for the smaller projects where the savings are not that much, we should not be spending a lot of time and money on them, because that will cost time and money to the clients. We need to be able to come in.
So your next
the deep retrofit is different. The smooth ones,
ready-made solutions. You were right. Ready-made solutions. Like half products. How they go there.
We need to think very deep and really deep inside us to start coming up with these things. And you would be shocked. I mean, the space industry has been driving a lot of that innovation. We need to look into that as well. And I'm a big proponent.
In one of the next few episodes, we will have one expert on data, world-renowned expert on big data and artificial intelligence and such things. I think those things are...
Those are the hottest topics. AI and big data, energy efficiency, solar alternative energy, and I think social media. These are the things. This is where, and of course, digitization. These are the sexiest things that are happening right now. And as long as you're in there, and I think artificial intelligence, big data, and data analytics are all like interrelated. Those are very important, even in my business.
I cannot wait to host that host, but it was a really, really, really eye-opening. No matter, we talk about your business a lot, and we are cooperating for a few years now, quite a few years now, and it's always nice to hear from you, learn from you, and with your extensive knowledge, not only in greenery or sustainability or energy efficiency, but also in business. It really helps motivate people, and this is what this vlog is all about. Innovation, you mentioned, I think, 20 times. Change, you mentioned 20 times. And this is what drives people and motivates people and inspire people to move forward. One last thing, because we mentioned the future, we mentioned what is the next big challenge for ARC Energy? And one of the challenges we are solving, not solving, but partially just a little bit solving with this vlog, like going out there and talk about it. And I think you should be more in media, not just digital, but old-fashioned media. New. I think you should be more in media just to spread the word about what's going on there.
I think, look, we are in the setup phase. In our business, the next phase is ramp up, and the third phase is business as usual. I think I I did the setup in a very short period of time, which is very stressful. Right now we're ramping up because we're hiring people, we're getting new projects. My main challenge, there are actually a few challenges. The very first one is bringing in the right resources that believe in our story, in our initiative, and our objectives, and being able to be there present to help our clients day in, day out.
Which background we are talking about?
Engineering, management consulting, combination of engineering, management consulting. Of course, energy efficiency and solar and energy management are the core skill sets that we look for. But then the skill sets that we look and the kind of certifications that we expect, we're just way too demanding sometimes. But we are way too demanding because we are being entrusted by clients that have no clue. And if we come in and we have no clue, then this whole thing goes belly bust and will send very bad vibes to the market. Not just about us, but about the whole industry. So I think the first one is sourcing the right talent that believes in what we're trying to do. The second thing is spreading the word, not just about Arc Energy, but continue spreading the word about how effective this sector is and the need for change. And I need to find the right venues to do it. And I've been thinking a lot about main media, whether TV, radio, or of course social media as well. Of course, I'm thinking about that a lot. White papers. I go to conferences and I speak in many conferences all the time. And when we get a lot of interest, people come to us in the conferences, but then the conferences are not attracting, not all the conferences are attracting the level of seniority that we need.
For sure. But there is a thing. If they have a good communication part and the media part of the conference, the word is spread all around the world.
The third thing, I think the third thing is not just spreading awareness, but
education.
The education, but not just know. You have to educate them so that they understand. What they're embarking to do is not something easy. It will take time. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and great things happen to those people who wait.
The change is there. The only constant thing in life is change. And for sure, I see a lot of changes coming in the area, in the industry, globally, regionally, locally. And may I conclude with one my thought, listening to you again about what you do and how you do it. People do want to hire people with the know-how, that's for sure. But people do operate with people, and people will hire people, and this is what they want to do. So this is one thing. But I think basically the most of all, people recognize the passion.
Yeah.
And if today's episode was about something, it was about the passion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is no question that you will succeed. I'm not talking about your business. I'm not talking about regional. I know that your impact and your footprint, let's say it in your language, your footprint will be vast. And I'm so glad that we are the witness to the beginning of big change, the change in the industry.
Inshallah. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
So nice talking
to you.
Same
here.
Always. We should do this once more in a year, but in 2 years we are opening this part. We said that we are not saying. Thank you very much.
Perfect, man. Perfect.
That was it. Thank you very much for watching. Well, we exceeded our time, but the talk was so passionate, and we can talk, I think, double the more.
Yeah, of course.
Let's do this some more time. This was Vlog the Change. Make sure to like and subscribe, and of course follow our website and wherever you find us. What we want to do: inspire people, help people, innovate, help people. Know that the change is not so. It is. You should be afraid of the change, but you should go in it. And what Aref explained, you should be bold, and you should be with innovative ideas about it. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye.